Hi guys, welcome back. Cheers. That was well needed. Hi, did you miss me? I hope you did, because we have a lot to talk about today. Well, probably not really a lot, but still, let's pretend and we will see. We'll wing it as we go along, as we like to say. But first of all, how was your week? As you can see, I'm in full glam today, because if you ask me how my week was, I got punched really hard to the point where I thought I lost my teeth, which I didn't, thank fuck, because if you're familiar with going to the dentist, you know it's expensive and I can't afford it at the moment. So my teeth are still here, still shining, but boy, the punch, I could feel it to the point where, yeah, thought my teeth were cracked. I lost my conch piercing. I don't know if you can see what remains of it, which is like a lot of pain and like a red dot somewhere around here. So yeah, and my skin doesn't look exactly great. So I thought, let me try and make an effort. So if you see the full glam, I hope you like it. You're not going to see it every time, but when you see it, it's most likely because I got punched and my face doesn't look great. But I want to look great for you because, I appreciate when people make efforts for me, so I like to do likewise. But with that being said, drop in the comments how your week was. I really hope it was better than mine. And without further ado, we're starting already with the tongue twisting. Without further ado, if you're new here, hi, welcome to DMV, aka Dungeons and Boys Love, and very much, how should we put it, unhinged and all over the safe space where we talk all things BL and titles without exactly being child friendly, if you will. But because it's YouTube, we're gonna be just a tad little bit. I hope you like what I do. I hope you will enjoy what I do and you will stick with us here for a very long time. And if you do so, and if you like what I do, what I make, please, how do the professionals say this? Show your support in any way you possibly can and be it by, downloading the episode in the listening platforms, support my work with a like, a download, a comment, with sharing it with, you will know the drill at some point, and if you've been here for a long time, you know the drill by now. Do whatever you fancy, as long as it's consensual, and you spread the love far and wide. Now, with that being said, thank you so much for all the returning customers. I do see you, love you, and appreciate you. And with that being said, I think these are all the announcements for the day. Let's crack on. A little disclaimer before we proceed any further. Unfortunately, the restaurant downstairs decided it was a brilliant idea today, as I am starting to record this, to put the music on. So it shouldn't be for long, and probably you shouldn't be able to hear it. But anyway, if you hear some bass in the background, you're not going mental. Nothing is happening. It's just a restaurant downstairs. But hopefully, fingers crossed, they're going to stop soon. Now, with that being said, because nobody gives about what's happening around here. You're all here for, the titles, the tea, the juice, and all the things around it. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I was debating on what to talk about. I have ideas. I have things to talk, I have things to say. This, that, and the other. But then, you know me, I do love an obscure title. I do love those titles that nobody talks about because, probably I'm the only one reading them. However, I thought to myself, sometimes it's good to follow the trends because, the trends bring you likes and all of that. And you know me, a gal needs to pay her bills. So if it can help, why not? It's not how I roll, but sometimes if you cannot beat them, join them. So what better way to join the trends if not talking about the thing that everyone, and I swear everyone is talking about, which is heated rivalry. Now, it's funny because this is the first time we're talking about something that is not actually a comic, being it like a digital one or a book. That's what we always talk about since the time when DNB started during the pandemic, which was 2020. Wow, it's been a long time, but literally that's all we've always been talked about. That's our vibe, that's our gig. However, in here we don't discriminate no one, so I thought, what better way to do our second video if not by talking about heated rivalry and confronting the title with our beloved Yuri on Ice, because what better way to talk about something that is trending at the moment if not by starting with the title that at the end of the day started it all. Now, and I have been been saying now more times than I can count, but, bear with me. I need to, my thoughts, they go at the speed, like at the speed of 1,000 miles per hour. So when I need to collect myself, you will hear a lot of like, now, so, blah, blah, blah. Bear with me. I'm sure you do exactly the same. So, the pot is calling the kettle black. Anywho, I wasn't entirely sure I was gonna do this kind of video today. However, when I was, roaming the dark corners of the internet, I saw a comment on Instagram in particular. And that comment cracked me up so hard that I was like, we need to do this video. We need to do this video before the heat cools down. No pun intended. So I saw this girl and she literally said, it was a video, I think it was like a montage of Yuri on Ice or something like that. And she commented, she went something like, I don't remember the exact words that she used, but it was something like, it's basically like every 10 years, we need our story with 2 gay men on ice. And she couldn't be more right. She couldn't be more right. Because, like, I swear, every 10 years. And it's so funny because, like, Yuri on Ice was exactly 10 years ago. Probably a bit less than that, but still, 10 years ago. For the good of the narration. 10 years ago. And now we got Heated Rivalry and Melting Point, which I talked about already in the audio episodes. And if you want, I will link the episode of the podcast here. If you're curious about it, I'll just put it there. And you do whatever you want with it. But, yeah. And they're both about hockey on ice, la la la, and all that jazz. So I was like, you know what? If this is not a sign from God for me to do this kind of episode, then I don't know what is. So, yeah. This is the story on how I chose what to talk about today. Before getting into Heated Rivalry, which is probably what you're going to be here for today, let's get a moment to, to praise a little bit Yuri on Ice. Because at the end of the day, as we've said a million times in the last 5 minutes already, without Yuri on Ice walked so the rest of the boys could run. Not even run, like skate, fly, do whatever. So, Yuri on Ice. Now, I remember, I think it was I discovered Yuri on Ice at the time where I was starting reading BLs again. I'm not going to repeat the story, this would be probably a million times that I've said this, but I started reading BLs way back in the day. And for a while, I guess when I started, I think it was around the time when I moved countries and stuff, I stopped reading them. Not necessarily because I wasn't interested in them, but because, life happened, there was other stuff to do. Internet wasn't as accessible as it is today. So, it was a tad bit more complicated to read stuff. And I didn't have the money to, afford to buy a new comic book, every week or every month. So it died down a bit on me. And then Yuri on Ice happened, and Lazine happened, and all these digital copies of, BL books started to show up. So, yeah, it came, we can say, exactly at the right time, in the right place for me to, get back into my first love, which is BL stories. And I was obsessed about it to the point where my partner brought me this. He bought me this. I think it was whoops. He bought me this as a Christmas present. Look at the details. Can we just take a second to appreciate the artistry? My God. And it's like a Blu-ray. It's not even a DVD. It's a Blu-ray. And can we actually see the perfection? That was the level of obsession. I have a physical copy of the whole series. And I am one of those people that are actually vexed because we never got our sequel, our Ice Adolescents. When I heard Mappa Studio being oh yeah, we cannot afford to produce, literally, you are who you are and you're producing the titles you're producing, thanks to Yuri on Ice. We literally financed your work. This was your piggy bank. This was your moneymaker, and you never gave us the ending and the closure we deserve. We never saw Victor and Yuri's wedding. We never saw Otabek's and Yuri's love story. You literally deprived us of all the good stuff. You gave it to us. And then You ripped it from us. Like, I was heartbroken. I was so heartbroken. You cannot even imagine. You can see it in my face. I was devastated. I still am, but at least we got the memories. And probably me and two other people are still hoping that we're going to get our happy ending at one point, but we will see. We will see. But yeah, Yuri on Ice. Now, for those of you, 1 second, let me grab my drink real quick. For those of you who don't know, the story behind Yuri on Ice is pretty straightforward. We got Yuri, he's Japanese, he's 25, and he's always dreamed of being an ice skater. Which he is, by the way. He's not exactly at the top of his game, so yeah. Poor thing. After the end time where he lost a competition, he goes back to his homeland in Japan. Because, oh yeah, he was training in Canada. And after the last competition that he did, he's 25. He doesn't really see how to, keep skating without making a fool of himself. So he goes back to Japan, to his family, to try and pull himself together and see where he can go from there. And that should be it. Until Victor Nick, who is the best skater the world has ever known up to that point, decides to join him in Japan and become his coach, his trainer. He stops skating and he becomes his trainer. And that's where all the magic began. We got other characters joining in. Like, at the end of the day, there's not much to say. It's like, what makes Yuri on Ice, I guess, really unique and special for all of us is the fact that it's the typical tale of the hero who, after thriving, after all the thriving and tribulation, succeeds to get to his final goal. And I mean, in the final goal as well, he gets a very sexy Russian man to marry him. I mean, we don't see the wedding, we should have seen it later, but, they exchange rings, so... I mean, when you see a duck walking like a duck and quacking like a duck, you call it a duck. So when I see two people exchanging rings, I call it a promise or wedding or a wedding proposal or whatever you want to call it. So he gets his happy ending, he gets his man. And yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, it's a very wholehearted story. And considering all the dark stories that have surrounded us for the past 10 years, we need some softness in our life. And that's where, I guess, Yuri on Ice came into play. Now, with that being said, we can get, and again, I could have talked about Melting Point, but we talked about that already. Unless, if you want a very specific video about that, drop it in the comments and I will proceed to do so. So, as I was saying, we could have talked about Melting Point, but instead we're going to talk about Heated Rivalry. So, what is the frenzy all about? Let's find out. In all fairness, I have to be honest with you guys. I was debating until last minute if I wanted to talk about Heated Rivalry or not. And mainly it's because I have a bit of beef with certain decisions that have been made. And I want to talk to you, I want to talk about this, guys. Because I like to vent a little bit. I am a bit of a complainer by nature. So you know what? I'm going to vent with you guys. You can agree with me or not. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is my space. This is my domain. So if I want to complain, I will. Sorry about that. If you don't want, just skip a few minutes and you will get the rest of the episode. Now, what is that it's touching my corns, as some of my friends would put it? It's... So, to be fair, it sounds a bit ridiculous for me to say this, but as an actor myself, it just makes me so angry. So, yeah, let's talk about it. The beef that I have in particular is with some choices that have been made regarding the actor that plays Ilya Rozanov, whose name I believe is Connor Story. I'm not 100% sure about that, and if I butchered his name or if I got his name wrong, I am terribly sorry about that. I make amends, but I'm almost certain I said that right. But anyhow, what happened with him was, I saw the whole series and I heard him speaking Russian or doing the Russian accent the whole time. And I was like, my God, the guy is really good, to the point where I was like, why is his name why does he have an Anglo-Saxon name if he sounds so Russian? I swear to God, I thought Russian was his first language. I'm not even going to lie to you. Only for me to discover that Russian is indeed not his first language. Basically, they casted him and then he had to go through an intensive language course where they taught him how to speak Russian like as if it was his mother tongue, and how to do the Russian accent, which he did tremendously good. He did an excellent job, and kudos to that. He's been good. He's been good. Now, I'm not talking about the acting in the series or the series. We're going to talk about that later. But like, for what concerns that, chapeau, as we say back home, it was uncanny. But then it takes me to when I do castings, to when I do stuff like that. And it makes me wonder, is accent the actual problem when you're casting an actor, or it's how they look, the actual problem? Why am I saying that? As a foreign actor in a foreign land, sometimes it's harder for me to land jobs compared to people that were born and raised over here. Which, I mean, fair enough. Fair enough, my suck, to be fair, because it's not fair. You should give everyone the same possibilities. But if it's your choice to choose actors from here because you want an authentic accent, whatever, I can train my accent. I can do an accent. It's my choice not to do a perfect accent in certain situations, because why should I? Why should I? You understand perfectly well what I'm saying. It's not imperative that I do a perfect accent, so it's not my problem. I can do it in certain situations if required, and under training I can do other accents. But anyway, it's a casting choice. But then you see this kind of situation happening, which is like, we could have chosen a Russian actor, but instead we chose an American actor whom we paid the training to interpret Russian. To try and make a long story short, because I do believe I've been rambling about this for even longer than I was expecting to, you're with these, as a casting agency, as a casting director, the casting universe in general, you're telling me that our ethnicity, our accent, our origins are a problem because you're making them a problem. We are not the problem. The industry is the problem. And that irks me, because I've lost so many jobs. God knows why. Probably not because of my accent or anything, but because I wasn't the right look. Which is so annoying, because it's like, okay, not annoying for every job, but some particular jobs, I'm not going to name names and stuff like that. Acting is fiction. It's about fakeness. It's about wigs. It's about makeup. It's about costumes. Acting was born in theaters. Nothing is real. Everything is built to a T, to create a story, to create a character. So you're telling me you could not have worked around how I am with a costume, with anything, with that, like, make it make sense. And again, this is not an attack towards him, who has done a tremendous job. And I mean, physically amazing. Like, I haven't seen any of his other works, but I've seen people saying that he's really good, and I trust their words for it. He's done a tremendous job, and I'm happy for him, and he deserves all the praise and the fame and stuff. It's just, as, again, a stranger in a strange land, I did wish some things were done in more fairness towards us as foreigners. Because as foreigners and as working class, we can give so much, and we have so much to give to the arts world, but sometimes we are precluded that. And I've been opening too many topics already, because we started from one thing and we finished to another one. But it's something I'm really passionate about, so it irked me when I heard it the first time. So I just wanted to, remove the little stone from my shoe. And I mean, hopefully better times will come. It hasn't been, again, after 2020, it hasn't been easy at all. Like, for the arts world, it's just been an absolute disaster. So, you would want everybody to be treated the same, but clearly some animals are born more equal than other animals. So if the animal is beautiful on top of that, they will have more possibilities. But with that being said, I will shut my mouth. However, I mean, if you're interested in this kind of topics, you will see other people in my same line of business that will tell you exactly the same for one thing or the other. And yeah, or even if you want some spilling the tea about that, when, like, a lot of people talk about when we send, like, self-tapes to agencies, right? And they ask you, your room needs to be in a certain way with a certain space. And there's a girl that's done a video, and I was like, my God, this is so relatable on so many levels. Because she was saying, you want me to strut down a hallway full of light, full of white walls, and truly and really, I got one hallway that I share with other 8 people, and there's no windows, no lights, so how the heck am I supposed to do the job? But yeah. If you want more tea spilling about the casting world and the theater world and the filming world in general, please let me know, because I have tea to give you guys. But with that being said, that is my 2 cents about the whole accent thing. But I was like, you know what? You need to give the people what the people want. So here we are. And again, I enjoyed my viewing of the whole heated rivalry situation, so why not talking about it? Now enough with my rambling. Let's get into you all want to know. Now, as far as the story goes, is it the greatest story of all time? Nope. Is the acting the greatest that I've ever seen in my whole life? Absolutely not. Did I watch the whole thing from start to finish? Heck yeah. Of course I did. I was so invested in the whole thing to the point where I was watching it during breaks at work. Which, funnily enough, a lot of the scenes were not exactly, public friendly. So it was a feat to try to hide the screen while I was looking at the thing and my friends were trying to see what I was. It was interesting. But that's how much I was invested into going from start to finish. And that's how the journey started. And I guess that's how it started for a lot of us. I mean, if you genuinely liked the story, please let me know. Please let me know if you liked it and why you liked it. As far as it concerns me, I think we've seen it all a million times before. We've seen it all, we've done it all, and we've seen it done better. But as BL fans, and we know, I know we all relate to this, we cannot deny the hype around 2 hot guys sleeping together. We cannot. So I guess that's how we all ended up over here. Now, in terms of the story, what is it all about? We have 2 main characters surrounded by other characters. Because, by the way, when I was doing my researches, to be fair, I didn't do that much of a research this time around. But as far as I've seen, this heated rivalry situation is part of. I like when I say situation, as in when I don't know how to call the situation. The situation. It's funny because it's a thing me and all my other immigrant pals do. Situation. We all know what we're talking about. Situation. Anywho. Basically, it's the second book of a series of books that are talking about all the characters related to what we've seen in the series. I've tried to read a little bit of it. I think it's a bit too young adult for me. I have a feeling. I mean, I want to try and see if I can manage to finish the whole thing, because, as I was saying for Yuri on Ice, we do need a bit of lightheartedness in our life, and I think that's exactly what this whole Heated Rivalry series is. But again, I think maybe it's a time of my life when I like more heavy stuff, or I need something that involves or resonates a bit more with me. But we will see. If I manage to, I will talk about it in another video, but we will see. Anyway, our particular one is the second book of the series, as far as I have understood, and talks about the lives of Ilya Rozanov and Shane Hollander, and now they do intertwine with each other and how they end up together. I do hope this is not a spoiler, but at this point, if you haven't seen the series, you're probably living under a rock or on the moon or on Mars, because, even if you haven't seen it, the spoilers are all over the internet. So, sorry, but I'm not the first one that has done it. So, I do claim the right to do them, Your Honor. As we were saying, Shane and Ilya, how do they meet? How do they get to know each other? But most importantly, how do they end up together? Now, the story follows the classical trope of from enemies to lovers. Is it a classical one? Yes. Is it cliche? Yes. Do we get enough of it? Never. Never. Absolutely. Give me an enemy to lover any time of day, and I will be a sucker for it. I will wait for it, and I will be on my knees begging for more. Now, do I have a classic example to quote at this moment? Uh, not really. Not really. So I will think about it. Or if you have any interesting title about this kind of tropes that talks about this kind of tropes, drop it in the comment because I do love always to find out like new stuff to read. And I mean, the more material I have, the more videos I can do. So please help a gal over here and, share the love with me. So from enemies to lovers, it all starts when the boys are around 17 years old, if I remember correctly. They've never seen each other, but as it often happens in the sports world, the press does the whole charm. They do the whole trick. They basically talk about this rivalry, about these young promises of the hockey world, rah, 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 and all that jazz. And that's how the whole enemy thing is born. Because at the end of the day, I don't even think Ilya knew the existence of Shane Hollander. I mean, he knew, but he didn't care. And likewise with Shane, he knew, but he was just minding his own business. At the end of the day, they followed the classic storyline of I'm a player, I'm here to do what I want to do, and I don't care about the rest. So the whole rivalry thing, press stunt. A very well one, if you ask me. A very well one, What the fuck did I just say? So, yeah, they meet the first time when they're 17 years old, the year before they're drafted for basically, I don't know if it's a real thing, but they get drafted same thing as they do like in the American football world. They get drafted for like the main major hockey teams in the league, I suppose. So yeah, that's the first time they meet, the year before the draft. And to be fair, it's just for a brief moment. It's initiated by Shane, who goes out where Ilya was. He was outside smoking. Shane goes there and he's like, "Oh hi, I just wanted to introduce myself." Ilya doesn't seem really fazed by the encounter, and that would have been the end of it basically until they meet the year after when they're drafted, and they're drafted for rival teams, and that's why it's called Heated Rivalry. I mean, I think so. I think that's why. I don't know. If you have more info, let me know. That's how much I was invested in the story. Yeah, right. Yeah, they're drafted for rival teams. As far as I've understood, they're rivals because they have an historical kind of rivalry kind of thing going on. So of course, they're both one is in Boston, Ilya is in Boston, Shane is in Canada. And I mean, the distance between Canada and Boston, as far as we know, is not as long as Canada and Russia. So they're bound to see each other more often. And of course, the press is milking the whole rivalry situation. I mean, a good story makes money. So why not milking the cow while they can? So the rivalry thing is skyrocketing. Ilya is kind of playing onto it because at the end of the day, it's a good publicity stunt, and if it can help you with the whole thing, why not? Shane, on the other hand, I mean, he knows about the thing, he kind of jokes around about it, but at the end of the day, he wants to play, he doesn't really care. So, yes, he goes with the flow, but he's not really interested in that. And again, as my father puts it all the time, if that was the end of the story, you wouldn't have a story. So where is the whole turning point? How come, or shall I say, from where those sworn enemies, I mean, not really sworn enemies, but for the sake of the narration, those sworn enemies become lover? I don't remember. I know. Shocking and also very unprofessional of me. I don't remember. I mean, I remember that they have a first encounter, the first time they have, how should we put it in a child-friendly way? The first time they do the deed, if you will. I sound like a grandpa when I say this, but literally, this is not my first language, and I don't know how to make something child appropriate. It's not my language. I don't know. And to be fair, I'm not around children that much, so that I have to tiptoe about what I say. So, pardon me if I sound a bit weird, but that's literally the best way I can put it. Anyway, the first time where when whatever we were there to witness happens, it's when they actually exchange number. And it's so funny because this all has to be kept a secret, because Ilya, of course, is Russian, and if you know how Russia treats the LGBTQIA plus community, but you know why. It's not an easy situation, so he has to keep it a secret for sure. And I'm not quoting the French Prime Minister, so no, I'm not quoting that. But yeah, he has to keep it a secret, like that's literally a matter of life and death for him. And for what concerns Shane, I guess it's because it's more of a sort of like, oh, there's no LGBT people in sports kind of thing. You know, it's a big thing in real life as well, like especially in certain kind of sports. It's like it's very frowned upon to be from part of the LGBTQIA plus community. So yeah, do I share these views? No. Do I understand them? I try to. And I mean, I'm not in that sort of situation, so I'm not here to judge. So with that being said, they need to keep this whole venture, this whole kind of situationship a secret. So they exchange number and they save their name as a female name. So Shane becomes Jane and Ilya becomes Lily. And that's the whole starting point of the situationship that is gonna last around, I think it was around like from 6 to 10 years. Like they are in this situation for a long time before becoming boyfriends, because yes, in the end we get the happy ending, they become boyfriends and it's all good, it's all nice. But before that, it is a bumpy ride. We've seen bumpier rides, bear that in mind, but it is something else. So the first night, how do we get there? I don't remember. I literally have like a black hole in my memory that says I probably cancelled part of the episode, but it's been a while since I've watched it, and I'm not exactly like my memory is not exactly working in my favor in this time, so bear with me. Thank you. However, even if I don't remember the first turning point, I do remember the tension that was there. Like, oh my god, uncanny. And I mean, to be fair, the tension is there even after they have their first, how would you put it? You know, after the first time. Let's just call it the first time. Like, there's a scene where when they exchange messages where I was like, oh, okay, the sexting is going strong and hard. I see. And I mean, it's funny because you get Ilya on one hand, who is on top of his game. Like, he knows how the man knows how to flirt. He probably doesn't know a lot of things, but boy, does he know how to flirt? 100%. And on the other hand, you have Shane, who literally is me. I cannot flirt to save my life. I cannot recognize the signals even when I first got with my partner. We've been together for a long time, but I remember he was sending me all kinds of signals and I couldn't see them to save my life. And it didn't just happen with him, it happened with all the people before him. So fun times. It happened to the point where one person one time, it was one girl, she sent me a message one time. And we've been friends, bear in mind, me and with this girl, we've been friends for like ever. And she sent me a message one day and she was like, oh, by the way, I just wanted to get it off my chest. I liked you for a very long time, but I had to kill these feelings because, we needed to preserve, like, to keep the friendship. So I didn't want to ruin the friendship. Rah, rah. When I received the message, I was with one of my other friends and I looked at her and I was like, I would never have guessed. So yeah, I feel like I can relate to Shane 100% because that has been literally me sailing throughout all my romantic life. I cannot get signals to save my life. So, my good man, you're not alone. I feel you and I get you, and I keep spilling drink on me. So, by the end of the day, I'm gonna be like soaking, no pun intended. Leaving my romantic, disastrous life aside for a second, let's get back to the boys, shall we? Because That's what you're here for, not to hear about what happened to me in the span of my years of life. So, flirting game going strong on one side, awkward game going strong on the other side. Nevertheless, the story keeps going. But we do have a problem in the midst. And what is the problem, you might ask? I'm glad you thought about it. It's a tale as old as time. Of course, one party. Because I forgot to mention that. When the situationship started, one rule was put in place, and the rule was to be followed adamantly and religiously. And what rule that might be? That under no circumstances they should have fallen in love with each other. They had to keep it casual, because it wasn't exactly ideal in the first place. It was born out of curiosity and all of that. So, yeah, let's not involve the feelings where feelings shall not be involved. But alas, when it starts like that, even in real life, there's always one party that gets involved and it falls pretty hard for the other person. And of course, in this case, who it might be, you might ask? Shane. Because it's always the awkward one that falls first. Like, face flat on the floor. Like, with the chalk thing and everything. So yeah. The disaster was announced. There's no other way to put it. It's like an absolute disaster. I mean, I was on the edge the whole time. Because when these kind of situations happen, I'm like, I get so annoyed. Because I'm like, we know you guys are going to end up together. Like, when you see certain kind of tropes, you know what to expect. Like, I wouldn't have expected anything less but a happy ending. If it would have ended in a different way, I would have appreciated it, but I would have been in utter shock. So, we know how this is going. Why do we have to suffer this much, especially when Ilya starts having feelings as well? It's like, okay, like, guys, it's not that tricky. You can actually get there. You just need to, sometimes you just need to go with the flow, really. So, yeah, it was a bit frustrating to watch. But putting my opinions aside, they go on for years. With Ilya having other partners as well. Because it's like, at the end of the day, they don't see each other every day. And it's bound to happen. Like, people have needs, as the old generation would say. So, Ilya has needs, and Ilya most certainly will, fulfill his needs. Shane, on the other hand, you see him, he looks so much like the princess caught in the tower, being like, oh, I'm waiting for my prince to save me. Surely he will realize he cannot live without me. Well, he did realize, but realizing something and acting upon your feelings, it's a whole different story. Again, we get our happy ending. We get a girlfriend for Shane in the meantime as well. Now, that storyline, I didn't like it. I'm sorry to say. I wanted to put it in a milder way, if you will. I didn't like it. It's the fact that we get from point A, he gets a girlfriend who is very much in his space. Everybody knows he's got a girlfriend. He's a famous girlfriend, rah, rah, rah. And then we get from point B, the episode after, which is like, she looks at him and she's like, oh, I know you're gay. I did theater school. All my ex-boyfriends, they left me for a guy. This is such a stupid stereotype. Like, why would you put? And again, it's a young adult kind of thingy. So, if reading young adult books taught me anything, is the fact that they're full of stereotypes that when you read them when you're a bit older, you look back on and you're like, what the fuck is that? But like, literally, out of all the things you could have said, this is what you come up with. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, not only we don't like you as a character because you're absolutely useless, and you come up with this. Okay. Thank fuck we got rid of you in the span of 2 episodes, because I would have gouged my eyes out if I would have to see you for a minute more. But besides that, That was just like a little indentation in the thing. I guess at this point we've reached the end of the journey because I've told you all there is to tell you. If anything, if I could add something, again, there was a reason I chose to talk about this TV series. Did I like it? Not really. I mean, again, we've seen these kind of stories a million times. It wasn't the best story of the kind that we've seen. But if one thing was portrayed really well, was the tension between the two characters. So it was portrayed well enough to keep me hooked from episode 1 to episode 6. And that's all I have to say about it. There's one scene in particular that I really liked. It's when Ilya's father passes away. He has to go back to Russia to take care of the funeral and everything. And of course, in the time of need, the person that he calls is Shane. And because allegedly English is not his first language, he doesn't know how to express whatever he has bottled up inside from the whole thing. And Shane tells him to he's like, you know what? Just tell me whatever you want to tell me, but tell it to me in Russian. If it makes you feel better, just tell it to me in Russian. I'm going to be here to listen. And he tells him how much he loves him and how much he wishes they could be together, la la la. And the way Connor Story did the whole monologue, it was top notch. There's nothing else that I can say. Told you when I was telling the whole thing before, I got nothing against the guy. The guy is really good, and I think we're going to see more of him, and I cannot wait. Honestly, I genuinely cannot wait to see what other projects he's going to be in, because the guy's got potential, and yeah, let the potential be unleashed, because it's going to be amazing. And that scene, I think out of all the scenes, was my favorite, even more than when he says to Shane in front of his parents that he's his boyfriend and he's there for him. Like, that was a really cute scene. Not my favorite. The first time scene, not my favorite. Very good scene. Very good display of bodies. Not my favorite. That monologue, it had me in a chokehold. 100%. So if you haven't watched Heated Rivalry yet, one, I do apologize for the spoilers, but again, I'm not the first person. They're all over the internet, so don't kill the messenger. B, or shall I say 2 since I said 1? I would say if you like BLs, give it a shot. Again, I've been repeating myself like a broken record, but it's a story we've seen a million times before, and it's not the best in its genre. But again, give it a go. You might like it, or maybe not. If you've read the books, please let me know if there's any of the books in particular that you liked, and if this one is the book that you actually liked out of all the ones in the series. With that being said, I guess there's not much more to say today, but I just wanted to share my thoughts about it, because again, the whole internet was on a frenzy about this, so I was like, you know what, we might as well have a little chat about this. And with that being said, I'm waiting for your opinions on it. And if you have any requests in particular for the next videos and stuff, please do let me know. I do encourage you to do so. I do encourage you to tell me anything you want, really. Again, keep it nice. Be gentle, guys, because literally the world is falling apart. A little gentleness. Please, just let's keep it soft in all the spaces where we can keep it soft. Okay, let's just put it like that. With that being said, this is my time to say adieu to you guys, also because I'm losing the light here, so I don't know how much you're seeing of me. With that being said, I will see you next time, hopefully soon. And in the meantime, please take care of yourselves and engage in plenty of kinky, but always what? Consensual activities. I will see you next time. I will love you and leave you.